Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, ma'am. My name is Bintang Adri Darmawan, and this is my final test for poetry, where I will read the poem of The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, and I will give the analysis after I read the poem. So, ma'am, I'm gonna read the poem in three, two, one. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of some one gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I sought to borrow from my book's circuits of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now, to still be beating of my heart, I stood repeating, this some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This is it, and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely there is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what treat it is, and this mystery explore." Let my heart be still at the moment, and this mystery explore. This the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when with many flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, though I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grim, an ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me that thy Lord's name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marvel this ungainly foe, to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered. Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore, startled at the stillness broken by replies so aptly spoken. Doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster still, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirge of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling my fancy into smiling. Straight I will a cushioned seat in front of bird, and bus and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, think it, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this scream, ungainly, ghastly, gone, and ominous bird of yore, meant in croaking nevermore. This I said, engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fall whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I said, divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the limelight gloating o'er, she shall press, ah, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfect from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tough floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee by these angels he hath sent this respite and nepenthe from my memories of Lenore. Cough of cough, this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, think of evil. Prophet still, if birth of devil. Whether tempter send, or whether tempest toss thee here ashore. Desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land ancient, on this home by horror hound, tell me truly, I implore. Is there, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, think of evil. Prophet still, if bird or devil. By that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore. Tell this soul with sorrow laden, if, within distant Eden, it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting. With birth of fin, I shriek upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul had spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the buzz above my door. Take thy beak from out of my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallet of bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight or him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul, out from that shadow that lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted nevermore. Okay, ma'am, that's me reading the poem. Now I'm gonna read you and explain to you of my analysis of the poem of The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. So the my analysis will consist several points such as the theme, the tone, the figure of speech, the device of repetition, and the rhythm and the rhythm meter. So, for the theme of this poem is about grief, sadness, death, and loss. So why I give this answer because, as we all know, this poem is about the grief of the writer or even the character, where he lost his beloved ones, which name is Lenore. So, in this in this poem, it was stated and it was told uh, by the writer that this character is in grief with the death of Lenore. So we're gonna move to the next one, which is the tone. The raven have a tone of sorrowful and desperate. Where here, as I speak before, uh, uh, I speak with a tone of sorrowful and desperate as how the poem is be. So as I speak before, the tone is like I'm having a desperate feeling about how I got left by Lenore. So I think that's all for the tone. And the next one is the figure of speech. So the poem itself is mainly using the speech or the figure of speech of personification as we all can see from all of the stanza and all of the lines. All of them mainly use personification as how the raven is portrayed as he can speak, he can think, and he can give some advice to the speaker, or the character in the poem. This is not a logical thing in life, so this is a personification where personification mean is that uh, something something or an animal has the ability to be like a human. So there are also some other figure of speech in the poem of the raven. So the first one is simile. Sorry, I mean simile. So for simile, simile means is that comparison of one thing with another thing of a different kind. So in simile here, usually we can identify it by seeing two comparison, and the most indefinite sorry, I'm not indefinite, the most noticeable thing is that in simile they will use the connector of like and as. So here I'm gonna give you an example of the stanza from stanza 10 with the line of on the morrow he will lift me as my hopes have flown before. So as here act as the simile of the poem as it give a comparison of the morrow and the hopes. So the next figure of speech is metaphor. metaphor here is comparison of one thing without another. But here it is indirect or not using like or as. So an example is in stanza 13, to the fowl whose fury eyes now burn into my bosom's core. So as you can see here, you can see here in this line where to the fowl whose fury eyes, and now burn into my bosom's core. So it was a comparison of the fowl and the bosoms without using the as or like. And the next one is uh, apostrophe. So apostrophe is a line that refers to someone or something that is not present. For example, is where I say the prophet. So I'm gonna repeat it in stanza 15. Prophet said I, think of evil. Prophet still, if bird or devil. So as you can see here, the character or the writer, uh, just make him say that the prophet like it was there, but it was not. The prophet is absent. So the next figure of speech is allusion. Allusion here is a reference to a person, place, or even from history, literature, religion, mythology, or any other field of knowledge. For example, is Night's Plutonian Shore. So Night's Plutonian Shore here, we can see it in stanza 8 and 17. The next one is hyperbole. So hyperbole is a deliberate exaggeration of overstatement used for emphasis. So basically here we use the word to make it make an exaggeration of something. So in example in stanza 12, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of your. So here we use grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous on the bird or the raven, as it was an exaggeration of the raven trait. The next one is oxymoron. So oxymoron here is the bringing of together is the bringing together of two opposite of contradictory ideas. So an example is stanza 18, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating the floor. So as you can see here, the soul is from out that shadow. As you can see here, as my that and my soul from out that shadow. It was outside, but at the next line, I mean the next word, the shadow said that it was lies floating on the floor. But before the shadow is outside, so it's an contradictory ideas. The next one is synecdoche. Synecdoche is a part of something is used to represent the wall, or the wall, or the wall is used to represent a part. So basically here is some part or some or some word that is already universal can be used to explain something. So, an example in stanza 1, as of someone gently rapping my chamber door. So here, the someone here is the synecdoche, as the someone here represent as the person or the character in the poem of the raven. So the next one is metonymy. So metonymy is the name of one thing is used for that of another thing with which is closely associated. So, for example, in stanza 12, it's also the same as the hyperbole, this grim, ungainly, ghastly, and gone. So, here, grim, ungainly, ghastly, and gone have a similar meaning as how it means about it was freaky or haunted. So it basically something like a synonym, but not kind of that. So basically, it's a word that is used in in poem, where the word here is closely associated. So the next one is symbol. So the symbol here is an idea or an object used to represent something or something else. So in an example in stanza one, once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary. So here the symbol is uh, uh, weak and weary. So here the symbol is weak and weary, where it symbolizes the feeling or the tiredness of the character. So we move on to the next point, which is device of repetition. So, uh, sorry, the device of repetition in the poem of the Raven. There are several types of device repetition in this poem, such as rhyme and rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme of the poem of the Raven is A B C B B B B, with the B rhyme and always an or sound, or such as or sound. An example is the no, do, nevermore, and etc. Where the B identify as and rhyme. An example, as tone as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door, rapping at my chamber door. This some visitor, I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. So as you can see here, at the end of the rhyme, always use the or sound, as we can see in door, and more. We can see this example in stanza 1. The next device of repetition is assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sound, but not with the consonant that follow. An example, once upon a midnight jury, while I pondered, weak and weary. We can see this in stanza 1. So here, for the assonance, we can see the assonance in the words weak and weary. This show the assonance because they both use the sound of air air sound, or weak where air. So the next device of repetition is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound, usually at the beginning of the words, to achieve a desired effect. So for the alliteration itself, we can see it uh, in the example of uh, also stanza one, where where I will read it again. Once upon a midnight jury, while I pondered weak and weary. So as we can see here, from with the word of while, weak, and weary. As you can see here, it used the repetition of W, as we can see here, the first word of while, weak, and weary. So the next device of uh, the next of device of repetition is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a literary device in which a word is used to represent a sound, and it can also be used to represent the sounds that animals or people make. The example, the word rapping and tapping. As you can see here, it it give an example of that that the action or the something that happened here. The sound is like rapping or tapping. The next one is refrain. Refrain is one or more lines of a poem where it was repeated at regular intervals, and it usually appears at the end of the stanza. For the Raven itself, I think we all know that the most repeated word is nothing more and nevermore. So I think that's all for the device of repetition. So for the last point is rhythm and matter, and the rhythm and the rhythm matter. For the poem itself, it has all of the rhythm beat as such of iambic, anapestic, trochaic, dactylic, and sponaic. The poem is written with a meter of trochaic octameter with 8 stressed syllables and followed with 8 unstressed syllables. So that's all for my analysis for the poem of The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. I think that's all for me, ma'am. Uh, Okay, I think that's all from me, ma'am. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.